This week's astrology marks the start of your most successful, most actualized self and timeline. So let's discuss the cosmic cheat codes with how you are going to use this week's Capricorn New Moon to level up and thrive. Hi, my name is Comet and welcome to Just a Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological weather report for the week of January 8th to January 14th, 2024, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my cosmic corner of the internet, with a cosmic beverage in hand, sometimes a cosmic Celsius, I'm not going to lie to you, to discuss what's ahead for your week ahead, how the astrological influences can impact your life, and furthermore, how you can co-create with what the cosmos is doing to step into your most magical, most aligned timeline. And for this week's forecast, an important question to ask yourself is WWMHSD, which stands for what would my higher self do? Because for us to bridge the gap around how it is that we are showing up now and reaching and ascending for our goals and aspirations, which this Thursday's Capricorn New Moon speaks of, it's important to take actions not just from your present self's desires and needs, but also stepping into what would they do? How would they show up? Because when you can ask yourself, what would my higher self do? Or the self who has actualized all of the desires and ambitions that live within me, how would they take action? How would they start their morning? How would they handle this conflict within my family? How would they operate as it relates to their day-to-day? When you can step into their mindset and make decisions from that self, let me tell you, you shrink the gap between who it is that you are now and who it is that you want to be. You get closer to that version. This week marks the start of the year. It was not January 1st. When we talk about working with the astrological rhythms, technically the new year begins in March, but if you haven't made your vision board, if you've not set your goals for 2024, this is the opportunity to do so, is the new moon on Thursday on 1/11. I love that, January 11th. And when it comes to that question that I posed to you earlier, WWMHSD, gosh, I hope I'm saying that correctly. What would my higher self do? So embarrassing if I didn't. But when it comes to that question that I posed to you, what would my higher self do? I want to let you know that your higher self is personal to you. It's what it would look like for you to embody the highest vibrational, the most successful, the most actualized version of yourself. Given all of the physical, tangible resources, right? It's a new moon in Capricorn that you've been given thus far in life. The talents that you have at your disposal, the desires that you contain, the paths that you come from, the unique story told within your chart, all of the facets of you, your higher self exemplifies what it would look like if you were to actualize the highest potential of who it is that you could be. And your higher self is going to look different than somebody else's higher self. They have a different chart. They have different desires. They have different creative strengths, what have you. We all have a different vision of success. We all have different parameters by which we define success for us, based on what it is that we prioritize, based on what it is that lights us up, based on what it is that we are talented within. We all have a different higher self, and this is the week to get to know that person. How is it that they spend their weekends? How is it that they treat their customers? How is it that they raise their family? The more you can get to know that person, the more you can reverse engineer the steps necessary in order to embody that person, that higher self. And listen, this is a muscle. We are in a Saturn ruled season, right? We are in Capricorn season. It is a muscle to work. Sometimes when we tune into our higher self and their wisdom for us, yes, sometimes it does ask for restraint, right? When we bite our tongue, when we're dealing with a conflict with someone in our family member, choosing to work that muscle of compassion, even when it's really challenging. Sometimes when we tune into our higher self, we get a message of something that's not necessarily enjoyable, but we know we have to do to ensure that our business is a success. Sometimes we get a ping around, I really want to get in bed after work, but I know I'll feel so much better and so much more clear-headed if I go for a run instead. Like sometimes when we tune into our higher self, we are being pushed and motivated to take action, right? And we see that reflected within the cosmos with Mars sextiling Saturn and trining Jupiter. But sometimes you tune into your higher self and you get a different ping around rest, take a break, creatively brainstorm rather than forcing through this project. I love studying astrology because it gives us permission to have the waxes and the wanes. You are not a machine. And I say that because earlier in the week we have Mercury square Neptune as well as a waning moon, which is a time around resting, conserving our energy. Mercury square Neptune can be making our head kind of feel all over the place. And it's like if you listen to that nudge around, this is a time to more so envision the big picture. This is a time to rest. This is a time to get lost on a hike. This is a time to contemplate what is. When you follow those rhythms, when you follow those nudges from your higher self around, your time would be best spent lying down in a meadow. Your time would be better spent making a scrapbook. Like when we can follow those intuitive aligned nudges, those are also leading you towards your higher self, towards embodying your higher self. It does not always show up within 8 egg yolks in the morning and 200-pound deadlifts, right? Sometimes it is following the whispers, following the nudges, as we are not machines, and your higher self isn't a machine as well. So we'll be breaking down this energy thematically as well as day by day. But before we do, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. And so I'm drinking Celsius mango passion fruit flavor to be exact. I am getting a rash on my chest, which I've observed I get every time I drink these. So if that is not a sign that my higher self would not be drinking Celsius, I don't know what is. Let me know below what you are sipping on to start your week, to start this new moon. And also let me know, would your higher self approve of the drink that you are sipping on? Are you drinking something like green tea or water, something very healthy, or are you, like me, indulging in maybe something not so good? It's important to highlight, and I hope you feel my heart with this, it's not about guilt. When I tune into higher self Haley, you know, she probably is not putting these chemicals in her vessel, but it's who it is that we are reaching for, who it is that we are aspiring to become. It does not happen all at once. There are other ways that I'm super striving to become that higher self Haley. So I hope you feel my heart and that it's not about guilt. It's not about being perfect. It's not about only operating as the most perfect, structured, disciplined version of yourself. It's being able to follow the whispers and the rhythms and continually aspiring and reaching for the self that we could be, the positive exemplification of our talents, the ultimate expression of our creativity, continually reaching for that individual. And sometimes we have moments when we are not reaching for that individual. But alas, let's get into our vibe check of the week for this week of January 2024's astrology. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, which is a segment that we do here in Magic Monday, where we essentially compare all of the astrological influences that we are experiencing within this week's astrology to a real life scenario, so that even if you aren't certain how Venus trine Chiron or Mercury entering Capricorn will manifest within your universe, you can tune into a vibe, to a scenario. I'm not saying this exact scenario will happen. It's more so tuning into the emotions, the situations, and the scenarios to tune into the themes that can emerge as you move through your week. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. Let's say your entire life you've been told, you are so funny, you should be a comedian. You have always idolized comedians. You deeply respect the art form that is comedy. You know how much humor you have within you, and you also know how much it would light you up to bring more humor and lightness and joy to other people's lives through your comedy. You know that it's something that you have used to alchemize really challenging scenarios within your world, is to turn it into jokes and humor. You know all of that, yet you have not once got on a stage. You have not once gone to an open mic. You have not once tried your hand at comedy writing. And you're starting to get really sick of yourself. You're actually starting to get a little annoyed whenever someone tells you, you're so funny, you should be a comedian, because part of you is just like, I know, yet I don't do anything about it. A new year is here and still I'm terrified to go out on a stage, because what happens if I'm actually bad at it? Like, there is a certain comfort in not trying things, right? Because when you don't try things, you can keep that dream alive around, I could be this amazing comedian, but I don't apply myself. To apply ourselves means taking ourselves seriously. And when we take ourselves seriously, we could set ourselves up for failure. There was this TikTok I saw today of an individual who's an entrepreneur, and she was sharing how in her household, failure was something that was deeply celebrated. Every single week at dinner, her dad would ask her, what did you fail at this week? And the only true failure in the household was not trying at all. Because when we fail at things, we are allowing ourselves to learn from that data, to pick ourselves up and try something different. But when we keep ourselves from trying, that is the ultimate failure. Yet it can be a certain comfort around one day, one day, one day. But you get sick of it at a certain point. You get sick of being told constantly, you're so talented, why don't you do something with this? You get sick of having this dream within you, yet living Groundhog's Day, day after day, not taking action towards it. You get sick of it after a certain time. And you realize that the failure is not if you get on stage and nobody laughs at your jokes. The failure is if you never get on that stage and try. And so finally, you decide to snap out of it. You get out of your pity party around, I couldn't possibly, comedians aren't people like me, this wouldn't work out. And you decide to write some jokes, you practice them in your bedroom, and you sign up for an open mic. And you are so terrified. You think about even backpedaling out of that place and pretending like you never went inside because you are so terrified to get out on that stage. What if you are horrible? What if all those people who had told you that you're so funny were lying to you? What if you realize that you are not even close to the comedians that you idolize? What if? There is only one way to find out. You are thinking about leaving, but you take a moment and you tune into your higher self. What would they do? They would go out on stage. And that's exactly what you do. You embody somebody else's confidence and nearly bravado when you step out on stage, emulating in a certain way the comedians whose work you've watched over and over again, performing a set that's very true to you and the style of comedy that you like to relay. And just to see one person laugh in the front row, it's a small house this night, we'll say, but just to see that one person laugh at the joke that you told lights you up in the biggest way. And there is a long road to go. You have many open mic to go to. You have many a joke to write, but at least you are trying. At least you are out of that spiral around one day I'll do it, one day I'll do it, or constantly being told you're so good at this, why don't you do anything about it? Why don't you do anything about it? You're finally doing something about it. And that's so scary to do something about it because it puts us in the pathway to failure, but the only failure is not getting out on that stage. And so it's not that night when you go on that open mic that, Comedy Central's there and they want you to sign a contract. I don't honestly understand how comedy works, but we'll say that doesn't happen. But at least it gives you the courage to keep showing up, to allow your jokes to get better and better and better, to hone your stage presence, to hone your crowd work. Every single time you get better and you are seeking to learn from your failures, the time that, nobody laughed, the time that that joke didn't land the way that you wanted it to, that time that you didn't totally perfect that final callback to your original joke. Like, you are learning and taking in all of that feedback. It's important when we talk about Capricorn, it's very grounded, it's very practical, and we do ourselves a disservice when we rely on just talent. I think success at anything is a mixture of, yes, talent, as well as courage to even try it, as well as precision around dialing in where it is that we can improve, right? And that's why within the vibe check, there's this desire around going out on stage, but observing, okay, which jokes fell flat to make the next set better. It's not about not failing. This life will contain many failures. It's about learning from your failures and doing better next time, and not doing the ultimate failure at all, which is not trying to begin with. It feels good to take action. It feels good to build some momentum. It feels good to no longer pity yourself around, I wish, and to finally be doing something about it. That's what your higher self is nudging for you to do. Now, the reason this week's astrology speaks to this, the beginning of the week, we have Mercury squaring Neptune. Now, it's important to highlight Mercury has not cleared the shadow. So Mercury stationed direct last week, and it's still treading through territory that it has been before. So there's a little bit of a vibe of, deja vu all over again, right? Like we've been here before. We've had these thoughts before. And with it squaring Neptune, we've had these dreams before. We've had these conversations around, I wish I could be a comedian. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. There's a familiarity to it. Now, this transit has many other implications. We'll get into that in a moment. But with Mercury squaring Neptune, there's this familiarity around, I've had these dreams before. I've had these thoughts before. But I want to say Mercury squaring Neptune could also be this energy around feeling so disillusioned and frazzled and like, where do I even start? How do I even find an open mic? Like, where do I begin? Feeling overwhelmed that we almost like shut down. That can sort of be part of Mercury squaring Neptune. And to be honest with you, the beginning portion of the week, with it being a waning moon, as we prepare for Thursday's new moon in Capricorn, there can be certain sensations of exhaustion or feeling very tired, right? Of feeling very overwhelmed by the prospect of going out and getting on stage. But there's something that takes over this week, and you're going to feel this, okay? With Mars sextiling Saturn and trining Jupiter, around pulling from every drop within the reservoir of courage that you have within you in order to take action. With Mercury sextile Saturn, it's an energy around doing the hard thing. With Mercury trine Jupiter, it's getting success because of it, getting the laughs. And again, the road is long. Mars is newly in Capricorn. It's not that you will be the most amazing comedian on your first round, but you are one step closer to that person. You got that laugh. You're starting to tune into the rewards. And with Mercury entering Capricorn, that's the spirit of within your comedy set, dialing in, how can I make things the best that they can possibly be? How can I use precision and diligence in order to up-level my comedy skills? It felt appropriate to do a comedic theme just with Mercury in its final trot through Sagittarius, which tends to be a very funny, very blunt energy, right? And with Mercury re-entering Capricorn a little later in the week, there is a potential harshness coming into our mental space and to our communication where we could be a little harder on ourselves, right? Looking at our material through that lens of precision and diligence, contemplating how am I going to do better at the next comedy night. It's not saying you're a failure because your stage presence was off or that one joke didn't land. It's simply about taking the data and building forward better, and also honoring, let's say after that open mic, if someone pulls you aside and is like, hey, I noticed this about your crowd work or what have you, understanding that criticism, while sometimes it can come through as like a ouch sensation, when somebody gives you constructive criticism, again, not like hater energy, but if someone gives you constructive criticism, they have just handed you a gift. They have given you keys for how it is that you can bridge that gap between how it is that you're showing up now and how your higher self would operate, the version of you who is a world famous comedian with many specials under your belt and a world tour, all of the things. So let's go ahead and transition to taking our astrology day by day, starting with Monday, January 8th. So on Monday, January 8th, it's important to honor your rhythms, and please do not stress on Monday if you are not feeling very motivated. You might be listening to all of this like, Haley, comment, that would be great, but I am so exhausted. I don't even know how I'm going to drag my body onto that open mic stage. You will know when it is time. And with Mercury square Neptune, we can be craving a mental pause. Do you ever have those weekends off or that time off where you actually return feeling renewed? Turns out time off does help you show up the next day more renewed. Like if you are constantly going, you will experience burnout, and that's not the way towards actualization either. That's not the way towards success. That's not what your higher self would want you to do. Your higher self wants you to be in tune with yourself, right? And with Mercury square Neptune, if you're experiencing like feeling very mentally fried and exhausted and drained, even having a hard time focusing because you have been asked to work so hard or you've been putting your body under so much stress, like we don't talk about that enough. Not being able to focus can be a sign of burnout. So if you ever find that you're having a really hard time focusing, sometimes it actually behooves you to do something different, to shake up the energy around just like a quick walk around the block or painting for like 5 minutes. Sometimes it does help to just shift gears, because sometimes when you're having a hard time focusing and you just keep muscling to try, you can be wasting so much time when, if anything, you need to tune into your higher self. Like, what is it that I can really do to align with my higher self? Because again, your higher self is not your hustle self, okay? Your higher self is the version of you who, yes, wants you to achieve all of those dreams and ambitions that you have in that cute little noggin that you have. But it's not wanting you to destroy yourself within the process. It's whispering to you the keys around how you can arrive to your most soulful, embodied success. And so with a Mercury square Neptune, if you are feeling drained, if you're missing details, if you're dropping the ball in certain arenas, see if that might be an invitation for you to just take a breath, take a time out, take a bath, take a nap, eat a snack. Like with Mercury square Neptune, we could just be feeling all over the place. And I just feel for some of you that's coming up because of just burnout and what it is that you've been putting your body and mind through, trying to do it all and be it all. Be gentle. Your higher self is whispering for you to, yes, take aligned action. Sometimes that shows up around honing your material, signing up for the open mic, and sometimes that shows up around resting for your physical body so that you can give the absolute best performance when the night of the open mic comes up. And so, like I said, Mercury is in its shadow period. So certainly parts of Mercury square Neptune can be reverberations of what it is that you experienced the past 2 times that this transit occurred. Now, Neptune is the planet of our dreams. So with Mercury square Neptune, definitely honoring the wisdom that could have come to you within your dreams. But also with Mercury square Neptune, you could be physically here, but also elsewhere. You could be in your dreams around, wouldn't it be cool to be this comedian? Or you could be still thinking about the dreams that you've been having as of late. I know no one wants to hear about other people's dreams, but I just need to share. Just this week, I had one dream that I was like cuddling with this penguin. It was like really adorable. I was just like holding this little penguin. It was so sweet. And then I had a dream last night, and this one was stressful, which I know it's going to sound so ridiculous listening to it right now. I had a dream that I was a cheerleader and I was so stressed because I didn't have the bows that we needed. I had forgotten to tell the girls that they had to wear their uniform to the first day of school to show school spirit. I don't even know. I woke up legitimately stressed from that. Keep in mind, I have not been a cheerleader for literal years, but I still needed time and space to be like, the bows aren't real, everything's fine, I didn't let my squad down, oh my God. But with Mercury square Neptune, let's say you have been having some funky dreams as well as you have them earlier in the week, take that moment to dig in. Like when I was journaling on that cheerleader dream, I really found some nuggets. I still haven't figured out the hugging of the penguin. If anybody has any guesses what that means, that I was hugging a penguin, it was really adorable. And I was journaling about the cheerleading dream, about being the cheer captain and letting people down because I forgot their ribbons and I hadn't communicated this particular information for our big performance. I'm not a cheerleader any longer, but that stress I definitely relate with in other arenas of my life. Not so much cheerleading, but just, being the leader of my business and having a lot of pressure on me to just ensure everything unfolds as it's meant to. And that sort of stress was mirrored within my dream. So it's always interesting to kind of take that beat. Sometimes they're random, sometimes you're hugging a penguin and you don't know why. But sometimes when you take a moment, you can really find some nuggets. And again, I gifted myself that morning to kind of sit in and process. Like with Mercury square Neptune, there can be wisdom or whispers from our higher self, from our intuition. But a lot of times with Neptunian wisdom, it doesn't come in accordance to our time block. Right? It doesn't come in accordance to, okay, from 2 to 2:15, then I'm going to tap into my higher self and see what it is that they're whispering to me. Like I kind of had to accommodate to create the space to tune in. One of my favorite books, it's called Soft Time by Gil Edwards. I found it in a little free library. And since I found it, I have digested everything that this woman has written ever. Her name is Gil Edwards. She's a fellow Virgo rising like myself. I swear books always find me at the most aligned time that they are meant to find me. And this is a book that's so important to me that I reread it once a year. It's like a soul reset book. I would love to know if you have a soul reset book, a book that you read to remind you of who it is that you are and how it is that you want to go about life. So within the book Soft Time, Gil Edwards writes about living in soft time versus hard time. Hard time is when we are efforting, when we are pushing through, like hustle, grind 24/7, when we expect things to be hard, when we do what we think we have to do rather than what feels aligned and flowing at that moment. Because what's interesting about shifting into soft time is that you're actually more productive and efficient when you are in soft time. It's when you are in alignment with inspiration and doors just feel like they are opening for you because you are listening. And within that book, she talks about the importance around reaching for what's feeling the most aligned and inspired at that moment. Because if you are just feeling utterly uninspired, like your entire body is repelling, like you know that you should clean your desk, but you're just like, oh, I just don't want it. It's so beautiful outside. Sometimes if you just take that beat to follow the whisper of soft time and go outside, you'll come back, and when you're in flow state, cleaning that desk, it happens way quicker because you're in alignment with spirit, because you're listening to your higher self. I'm truly doing a poor job in summarizing this book. It's so wonderfully written. She's a Virgo rising. I feel so connected to her. She did unfortunately pass away a couple years ago. I remember that was like so heartbreaking. I read the first book and I was like, I need to reach out to this individual. Like, her words impacted me to such a deep level that I just wanted to reach out. Even if she never read it, I just wanted to say, thank you so much. You have changed my life. You have changed my perspective. And unfortunately, she has passed away. So RIP Gail Edwards, you have left a body of work that guides my decision making every single day. So if you are struggling to tune into the whispers of your higher self, to know when it's time to take action and to, exert discipline, and when your soul is just craving for a reset, craving for a rest, I deeply recommend reading that book. Success means listening to the whispers. Listening to the whispers that are telling you when you're feeling drained and exhausted before they turn into screams. The universe just dials up the volume if we're not paying attention. So if you've just been ignoring the nudges from your body, from your mind, from your soul, and just pushing yourself to keep going, to keep going, to keep going, this is an invitation to finally listen to that desire around slowing down, to allow yourself that space to rest before you give the best proposal of your life the next day, rather than walking into that business meeting drained because you stayed up the night before trying to finish a deadline. It's important to highlight, like when we talk about the gym and building muscle actually grows when we are resting. Yes, we create the tears when we are like in the gym or in the Pilates studio, whatever. We create the tears that start the process of building muscle, but it actually does it when we are resting. Like, it's such a critical component to us showing up as our most successful and our strongest. So what I want to say on Monday is, with Mercury square Neptune, such a great invitation around what does my higher self want me to do? How can I find soft time where I take action in the way that feels the most inspired and aligned? I guarantee later on in the week, you'll be feeling much more productive, much more efficient, because you took this beat and this time for yourself. So just honor this pull inward. We're in a waning mood time. Honor what your intuition might be telling you with Mercury square Neptune. I do want to let you know, because Neptune is a planet that deals with themes such as deceit, you may want to be a bit cautious of what it is that you hear on Monday, of what it is that you read on Monday, of what it is that you are told on Monday. Definitely exercise discernment. Do not just believe everything that you hear necessarily. And again, that could have been a theme that's kind of been echoing and reverberating within your universe since December when this transit began, but always important to be discerning. And again, sometimes you need to consult with your soul. Sometimes you have to take a pause and really go out in nature, or pull your tarot cards, or do your meditation to tune into, does this feel right? Does this feel supportive? Does this feel true? And it's all about tuning into decisions and observing if they feel expansive or restrictive. And that feels important to highlight, because the moon will be transiting Sagittarius on Monday, trining Chiron. And so even if there's a new opportunity that comes in, really honoring your intuition around, does this feel expansive and exciting and a step towards my higher self? Or does this feel constricting? Does this feel to be a threatening of my liberty? Again, you need to honor what your soul says, because only your soul knows the keys to embodying that higher self, right? And the more you can chisel that relationship around just honoring your heck yeses, things where that opportunity comes in, it's like, heck yes, this is so in alignment, this is so right, versus your heck knows when something just feels off. And sometimes it takes time to figure out why something's off. Have you ever had that, where you listen to your intuition on something and then you realize right after, ooh, that's why I said no to that job or to that investor. You learn something after the fact, but your soul was trying to tell you. Self-betrayal is when we do not listen to ourselves, right? When we keep working, even when we are so exhausted, when we keep pushing our body, even when every part of us is craving a break, when we move forward with that relationship, even when our gut is telling us something's off, that is self-betrayal. So this week's assignment is to really chisel that muscle of trusting ourselves, not just getting to know our higher self, but trusting them. So on Tuesday, January 9th, it's important to remember that if you keep doing what it is that you've been doing, you will keep getting what it is that you've been getting. We have the sun transiting Capricorn, which obviously is an energy that at times can favor the status quo, right? But it's trining Uranus. So it's asking for maybe an attunement to the same goals, but a new path with the trine to Uranus, or new strategies in order to get there. With Sun trine Uranus, maybe it's seeing yourself within a new light. Maybe it's literally seeing yourself as a comedian. When you step out on stage, I see myself as a comedian, and it might make you feel quite silly when you're around people who you've known for a long time and you're like, yeah, I'm a comedian. They're like, okay, like you're a comedian now, you did one open mic. But change doesn't happen until we start to see ourselves as that comedian, as that business owner, as that runner. You have to see yourself and see it as interchangeable within your identity. And understanding who it is that you are and have the capacity to be is not defined simply by what it is that you've been within the past. Every single day is an opportunity to begin again, to embody new attributes within ourselves, to pull those existing talents that you have around being someone funny and making someone laugh and interweave it into your identity. The outer results that you want to see don't happen until you start to see yourself around, I am a musician, I am a writer, I am. And it might not be something that you used to identify, but the trine to Uranus asks us to integrate new components of ourselves into our personality. And just with Sun trine Uranus, there's an invitation this week to shake things up, whether it's trying out something new, whether it's signing up for that open mic, whether it's signing up for a new fitness class. Like, it's really a time to get out of our head, or get out of the prison that we've been stuck on around I should, and finally be doing something about it. Because at least you are taking strides, at least you are making momentum towards the version of yourself that you want to be. You're getting out of a kind of pity standpoint around I wish, but I couldn't, and you are taking actions around, okay, it's time to do something about it. It's time to do something different. I'm sick of myself. I'm sick of the conversations that come up every single time around, you should be a comedian, you're so funny. And I'm just like, I know, why am I not doing anything about it? Is it fear of failure? Again, we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves with this being Capricorn season, but redefining failure, understanding that your greatest success will come before a million failures. You got to just fail forward, take the lesson, keep going. You don't know until you try. It's easy to stick to things that you know you're good at. Like, let's say within the vibe check, comedy is something new you're tapping into, but you're a graphic designer. You know how good you are at design. You could craft 3 designs in your sleep, right? And that's something you've built expertise in. So part of you is like, why would I even try to do open mics when I could just dedicate all my time towards being the best graphic designer? I know I'm good at that. I know I could be successful in that. And again, just because you are good at something does not mean that that is where your higher self wants you to go. Your higher self speaks to you in whispers around where you're experiencing a lot of resistance, around, oh, I don't want to design another thing, versus, oh my gosh, I just want to consume all of this comedy content because this is what lights me up. That's what it's whispering to us. And somebody else's vision and higher self is whispering to them, oh, it would be so cool every single day to be able to sit down at my computer and just design things. That would be my perfect day. That would be my higher self. That is somebody's dream out there. And even if you're really good at something, does not indicate that that is your passion. That is what truly lights you up. And it's tempting, especially with the Capricorn Sun square Chiron, to create a pathway around what other people will consider the most successful, around, oh, Michaela is the best, graphic designer in town. She's so known for that. Versus, oh, Michaela, she's an okay comic, right? But she's getting better at her comedy. And if you're passionate about something, you will continue showing up and getting better and better. It takes a lot of courage to be bad at something. And with Sun trine Uranus, allow yourself to be bad at something. Allow yourself to take that dance class. Allow yourself to create that poetry Instagram. Like, allow yourself to be bad at something. Everyone starts somewhere. And yes, there's talent that gets factored into it, but the energy of Capricorn Sun is, how is it that I pull together all of my resources, right? This talent that I've been given, certainly, but also this dedication to be my best self. It's such a mixture. You cannot just get there on talent alone. It needs to be matched with precision and courage, because I think something that's so frustrating is when you know how talented you are and how much you have to offer this world and you're still not doing anything about it. You're still not taking action on it. It could be so infuriating to just feel this talent and these abilities that you were given and just not be moving forward with it. And I just want to let you know, this week is an optimal time to do so, even if it's in small ways. Signing for one open mic, hiring one personal trainer, hiring someone for your business, like that one step forward. The path will likely be arduous. It's Capricorn season after all. Even if we're moving with inspiration, there will be moments that challenge us, because if it doesn't challenge us, it doesn't change us, right? And with Sun trine Uranus, it asks you to challenge yourself in some novel ways. You unlock new components of yourself when you allow yourself to be bad at something. If you just built your graphic design career and didn't try anything new ever, you would only unearth the designer part of you. There's other parts of you. There's other Michaelas that exist within you, and it's time to meet those sides. And I just want to say to any designer out there, I'm not saying that it's an easy profession. That was just an example, but just think of things that you could do in your sleep where it's like, I can do this, it doesn't challenge me, I'm not passionate about it, but you know, I'm good at it, so it's fine. It's really allowing ourselves to be open to new ways that we want our energy to be seen and new ways that we want our leadership to show up as well. And also on Tuesday, January 9th, we have Mars in Capricorn, sextile Saturn in Pisces. And with this energy, it is an invitation to tune into your higher self and reverse engineer. If you tune into that self and you're like, okay, they're a comedian, they're selling out world tours, how can I reverse engineer their steps to figure out how I can bridge the gap? Okay, it might have all started with deciding to take a open mic. And for you, you might be like, I don't know how I'm going to be that person. The steps aren't clearly defined. The good news is that there's many other individuals who have likely achieved something that you desire. So getting curious, reading their interviews, figuring out how it is that they succeeded, how it is that they leveled up. Something I found very fascinating that I'm just going to share with you all. Benny Blanco, do you know who he is? He is a producer. And I guess how he got his foot in the door is he would call A&R reps and he would say that he was an artist's lawyer. So he would be like, oh, I'm, Beyonce's lawyer. And they would let him through. They would really think it was a lawyer, and then he would get on the phone with the person that he wanted to connect with and be like, listen, I'm not Beyonce's lawyer, but you've got to hear this, mixtape. I'm not saying that you need to lie and deceive your way to fame. All I'm saying is get curious. Who has what it is that you desire, and how can you figure out their steps in order to get there? That's why I'm super huge on mentors, and that's why I've been so incredibly blessed with the individuals that I've been able to work closely with, because you get to see the steps that they took. You get to figure out what it is that they did to succeed. Your formula will be different, but it will help you figure out how to get where it is that you are going. And with the energy of Mars and exaltation, it won't necessarily be easy. I'm sure Benny Blanco had to call a lot of record labels before, a couple people let him through. And again, he used deception. That's not my recommendation. But again, it's interesting to see where people got their start. And there might be nuggets that you can take from it. And not every single opportunity will work out, but you're building momentum. It feels good to do something about it rather than just sit in your room like, I want to be a comedian. I feel this talent just burning within my skin. When am I going to finally do something about it, right? You're taking action. You're taking momentum. So with Mars sextiling Saturn, great time to start figuring out the goals or the pathway or the initiatives that you want to take in order to get there. Again, it's that blend of structured time and slow time around, okay, it's not saying that we need to every single moment be hustling and grinding, but it's having certain milestones around, okay, I will pitch this many agents every single week, and I will commit to that. Again, I get to pick when I'm feeling the most inspired to do so, but I will commit to that. Great time to contemplate shrewd, strategic ways of how it is that you want to bucket your energy to get to where it is that you want to go. And from a lunar aspect on Tuesday, the moon squares Neptune early in the morning and then conjoins with Mercury. So pay attention to what you are being told. If someone keeps recommending a certain book to you, if you keep hearing hearing this particular song, if someone keeps telling you, you know, you would make such a great comedian, the universe speaks to us in unusual ways, and you can find messages from the universe in all sorts of different media or resources. Sometimes the universe will speak to you via a YouTube video that's served on your algorithm. Let's say you've been ignoring the signs of burnout that have been manifesting within you, just like snoozing, and then you log into YouTube and the very first thing is like, stop doing this before you burn out. And you're like, okay, universe, I'll finally listen. Like, the universe tries to get our attention in a lot of different ways. It can come through via synchronicities of people telling us, you know, you should do this, or you're good at this, or have you contemplating this, or even just certain media that gets served to us at particular junctures of our life in which we are the most receptive to that wisdom. As I highlighted with Soft Time, that was just at a little free library. And that is a book that changed my life. The copy that I have is truly tattered because I reread it so often, at least once a year, but I also go back when I just need a little boost or need a little reminder. And like I said, you know, we are carving our own path, we're carving our own lane, we're carving our own path to success, but there are people who have come before you. There are other wealths of wisdom and expertise that luckily you have the ability to pull from and to learn from. So read a memoir of someone who has achieved what it is that you want. Get inside their mind, figure out the mindset tips, the routines that they use to get what it is that you wanted. Yes, your career will take different shapes, your desires will take certain shapes, but there's lots of wisdom that can be gained. So just pay attention on Tuesday to what it is that you hear. But to a very practical level, morning time could be a little sleepy, definitely Grandpa Joe in a little bit in the bed. You could definitely be reeling from a dream that you had the night prior. Let me know if you too were hugging a penguin, if that's going around in dreamland or something of that nature. And so it could be kind of a slower start to the day. It could be hard to focus. It could be hard to attune to all the things you have to get done. You could have really taken the day prior to just kind of like follow the nudges, whether it was like, you know, work was feeling heavy, but I wanted to clean instead, or, you know, maybe I didn't want to clean, so I went and worked out instead, like following the whispers. Monday's astrology could have a slower start. I do see that in the evening time with that Mars sextile Saturn building and the moon ingressing into Capricorn, you could be feeling a little bit more motivated. So could be a little sleepy, a little distracted as you start the day, a little bit chatting with the, you know, work besties with the moon aligning with Mercury. And you know, you might be saying, hey, like Comet, you told me to follow the whispers and have slow time on Monday. Why Tuesday? Am I not feeling motivated as well? So I want to let you know the moon will be void for a majority of the day. The moon aligns with Mercury at around 10:30, and it will be void until it enters Capricorn at 5:33. So that's kind of the boost in which we could be feeling more motivated, more inclined to take action. The beginning portion of the week it could be a slow start. It could be an inspired start, again, with moon squaring Neptune, conjoining Mercury. It could be great for big picture visionary thoughts around what is it that I want out of life? Where is it that I'm experiencing meaning? And then with the moon entering Capricorn and Mars sextiling Saturn that evening, contemplated what are the steps I'm going to take in order to get there, get what it is that I want. And I just want to take this opportunity to say that this is my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama. I love you so much. My mom always watches Magic Monday, which is so sweet. Even though she's a pragmatic Capricorn who has a lot of things to do, I just want to say I love you so much. And she does read the comments, so if you guys could wish her a happy birthday. So on Wednesday, January 10th, shortly after midnight, the Capricorn moon will sextile Saturn, which is a cosmic nudge to get our stuff together, and then align with Mars. Now, depending on where you are located within the world, keep in mind, I always mention times in terms of PST. If you're on the West Coast like I, and this happens around midnight, you might not be able to necessarily seize this energy, or you could find it's an exceptionally hard time getting to sleep. Like your mind could be keeping you up, thinking of all the things that you want to do, or all of the things that you have to do, or what have you. With Moon Mars, you can be feeling a little bit more frustrated, a little bit more reactive, but the up level of Mars energy is taking aligned action. And when it comes to this week's astrology and the real gift of this week's astrology, we have a lot of Mars energies aligning for you within the cosmos. And the thing about Mars energies, it's not a cosmic force that just reaches us. It's something that we need to take action towards. You can visualize your higher self all that you want, but if your higher self gives you that ping around, it's time to start that podcast, it's time to start dating again, it's time to move. When you get that ping, you must arise to the call. Mars is about taking action. And so if you do get a ping or a download or something comes through, allowing yourself to feel empowered to take aligned action. There's really this prosperous opportunity to bloom some lovely results within our universe, or at least to feel good about our progress with the Capricorn Moon trining Jupiter. Again, a lot of people feel that Jupiter is overrated. When we talk about luck, we feel like it should just find us wherever it is that we are. That's not the brand of luck that's aligning for you within this week's astrology. It's about, yes, tuning in, but taking action towards the opportunities that Jupiter can be bringing your way, and being so dialed in as it relates to your inner self that you know when it's time to take action and when it's time to conserve your energy or rest or attune to the big picture. Just really developing that muscle around your own internal guidance system that will lead you to your higher self or your most actualized self, or whatever it is that you want to call it. And if you watch Magic Monday pretty regularly, you may know that sometimes when I'm filming and talking about a certain day's astrology, the events that transpire as I am filming sometimes tie in quite well to the astrology. So I do want to share that in between Tuesday and Wednesday, I am a different gal. I have gone through things, I have seen things, I have learned things. In the same pink bodysuit does not the same Haley make, okay? I have had some experiences, okay, since you saw me last. I know it's a blip of time in between the 2 days, but a lot has transpired. Let me tell you what. I got a phone call, and the thing is, I never answer my phone. I'm just not responsible enough to have a device, honestly, but I answered my phone. And firstly, there's just so many spam calls that I rarely answer my phone to begin with. And secondly, I was filming. So it's very unusual that I answered my phone, because typically I would just let it go to voicemail, probably just a spam. But for some reason, as I was finishing up Tuesday's astrology, going into Wednesdays, I saw my phone light up with an unfamiliar number. And for some reason, something within me was like, answer. Because again, your higher self can say answer, it can whisper to you, but it's up to you to take action. And so I was like, all right, Spirit, I'll answer the phone. And it ended up being this individual who sounded quite exasperated. She had received a text from her boss at 6 a.m. that morning asking if she could please find an astrologer for their corporate party that night. And I so related to her in that moment, because I used to have a boss who would come up with these ideas and send me on a wild goose chase, just like text over, can we figure out how we can get our own branded bouncy houses? And I'm like, okay. So then I would have to research and run around learning all that I could possibly learn about branded bouncy houses, just because an idea had entered her mind. And then by 3 p.m. she would be over that and send me on a different vision or idea. And I just so felt that energy within the individual who I was talking to. Again, it's not out there necessarily to hire an astrologer, but when the event is that evening, that's when the event was, that evening. I can imagine that that would be a very daunting request. And so I felt into her exasperation. I really felt for her and I really wanted to solve her problem. But also when I consulted my higher self, I was like, do it. Something within me was just like, yes. And I trust that muscle. Again, we can feel aligned with our higher self, but still doubt it or still question it. But after you've had examples where you followed your instincts and it worked out, you begin to build that trust. And that's something I typically recommend to my clients is I'm like, write a list of the times that you have trusted your instincts and you worked out, or you said no and you found out later that it was not the right situation for you, or the time that you just didn't want to go to that party and then you found out later that some crazy drama had happened at that party and you're grateful that you weren't there. When you have a list, again, Virgo moon, very listy. When you have a list, you're able to build that muscle of trust around, I need to really honor my yeses and my nos, like honor the wisdom of my higher self that comes through. And my higher self said yes. And sometimes that's a muscle, because I'll be forthright with you. Present day Haley, with her kind of just exhaustion and fatigue, like I would have said no. And again, I've said other parts in the video, it's not always the answer to just keep hustling. It's not sustainable, but there was something really deep within me that was saying, go, you've got this. Like this is going to challenge you in new ways. And that it did. I mean, it was such an incredible opportunity. It was such an incredible group of people when I got to this hotel. So it's at this really nice part of San Diego County. And I get to the hotel, I go to the front gate individual and I'm like, hi, can you help me find this ballroom that the corporate event was being held within? And he's like, okay, yeah, so you're gonna go 2 miles down this way, hook a left, go here. I'm like, how big is this hotel? And I was just like driving through the woods, like, where am I? What am I doing? And so I'm driving 2 miles trying to heed this individual's advice. And keep in mind, you know, I have to be there at a certain time. So there is a certain degree of stress around, oh my gosh, I can't get lost. I got to find this ballroom. He had told me there's many different ballrooms on the property. So I'm really dialed in, like repeating his directions over and over and over again. Finally, I get to the ballroom area and my option for parking is valet. My only option for parking is valet, which was humbling to say the least, to drop off my 2000s Honda at the valet so he could park it next to all of the Teslas and the Range Rovers. And that energy is kind of reflected within Wednesday's astrology as well. We have the Capricorn Moon square Chiron in Aries. Because for me, even though I was so excited about this opportunity and to be able to give readings that evening, there was still a pang around, ooh, I do not belong here. Seeing all of these fancy people in this really bougie, secluded resort and being there in my little like cosmic garb, ready to give astrology readings and just feeling that energy around, I do not belong here, right? Like that was absolutely something that I was wrestling with. It can be nerve-wracking to go into those sort of environments and just know that people might be, you know, judging you or what have you. But I worked through it. You got to work through that muscle. Like that would be within the vibe check, the kind of pang of insecurity around looking at the other people who are like, oh, this is my 7th open mic. Oh, I do open mics every Wednesday. Whereas you are stepping in for your first open mic and having that pang around, I don't belong here, right? But when it comes to all of the Capricorn energy, if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you. And if you are the most, you know, talented, successful, funny individual in the room, you need to get into some new rooms. Like those uncomfortable experiences are signs that you are growing into new directions, into new dimensions. And it's important not to let that pang around, I'm the most inexperienced comic here. My car is the absolute worst in this parking lot. It's important not to let those pangs stop you. Like with the energy of the Capricorn New Moon, with the energy of the comedian stepping up on the open mic stage, all of those insecurities, all of those fears, all of that. Has everybody else been a comic for longer than I? Does everybody else have a nicer car than the one that I drive? All of that dissipates. Like the moment that I stepped into that event, I was like, Haley is no longer, I'm Haley Comet now. And I just had to be on and just act like I was in resorts like this every single day of my life. This is nothing new. My thousands Honda and I, we valet all the time. That's our preferred way of depositing the vehicle is via valet. So all I want to say is challenge yourself in new ways. It'll expand you. Honor your higher self. Build that muscle around trusting your intuition on which opportunities are for you and when it's more important to go a different direction or honor what it is that you need at that moment. Build that muscle. So on Thursday, January 11th, we have the Capricorn New Moon landing at 3:57 a.m. And with this Capricorn New Moon, like I said, this is the real start to 2024. If you do feel called to work with the calendar year, this is the time for the vision boards, for the milestones that kind of challenge you in a certain way. Like there should be something on your vision board or on your goals that kind of stretch you outside of your comfort zone, that kind of make you think, could I possibly do that or be that? Because that gives you something to reach for. You might be saying, Haley Comet, you're talking a lot about higher self, which is something quite spiritual. It's basically our spiritual self, right? Who embodies all of our positive characteristics and all of our talents and kind of whispers, nudges around how to take action within our physical reality in order to be in alignment with that self. You might be saying, this is a Capricorn New Moon. This is as grounded and as practical as it gets. Why is there so many whispers within this week's forecast around your higher self or something that's very mystical, right? And ethereal. This Capricorn New Moon may be grounded and practical and concerned with material success and doing the best with the practical resources that we have at this moment, but it is trining Uranus, which again breathes in new opportunities, novel energy into our universe, and then it sextiles Neptune in Pisces. So it's that whisper around what opportunities are for us. Like your higher self will tell you how to build your own vision of success, actualize your talents, bring your dreams into reality. And the thing about ideas and dreams and desires is that yes, they can come through in a more spiritual lens, but they want to be incarnated here on planet Earth. That's why we are here. Things want to be manifested. They want to be brought to life. We may be spiritual beings, but we are having this physical experience. And it's important to find that blend of the two. And that's what this new moon whispers of around, yes, having the vision board of, you know, the yachts or the house house or whatever it is that you want within your material reality, but also allowing yourself to follow the whispers around what your higher self tells you around the direction that you are feeling called to move within. Is it living nomadically? Is it building a life that's structured around your creative endeavors? You cannot go from the outside in. You must live from the inside out. You cannot look around what's everybody else doing? Is everybody else getting a yacht? Does everybody else want to move up the corporate ladder? You've got to come within, because that is how it is that you can figure out the steps that are necessary for you to manifest it here on planet Earth. And so this is a grounded, pragmatic new start in whichever territory of your chart you have 20 degrees Capricorn. What's also interesting about this new moon is that it is bending the nodes. So it's squaring the south node, so honoring where it is that we have been, and it's squaring the north node. It's challenging us to get to where it is that we're going. And when we talk about a lunation bending the nodes, it's a check-in point from the last round of eclipses, October 2023, and the next round of eclipses that are on the horizon. It's the halfway point. And so this is an opportunity to reflect on what has transpired within you since October and how it is that you want to continue to follow the nudge of where in your life is scaring you a little bit. Honestly, at the energy of North Node Aries, where it is that you're taking yourself out of your comfort zone, where it is that you are getting out on that stage for your first open mic, where it is that you're prioritizing your visions and your dreams and releasing what other people want your visions and dreams to be with South Node Libra. There's an opportunity to work co-creatively with that. The moon is making a very wide conjunction to Pluto. Pluto sitting at 29 degrees Capricorn. It ingresses into Aquarius next week, okay? So sit tight for that. But it is conjoining this Capricorn new moon at 20 degrees. Now, I use fairly large orbs. If you use smaller orbs, which is basically the degree difference that we count to make an aspect, you would maybe not consider this a conjunction. I would consider it a loose conjunction. And when we add in that part of Pluto, Pluto is about power. And again, just stepping into our power, stepping into our higher self, stepping into our most actualized self. And with the energy of Moon, Pluto having to move through fears in order to get there, right? Having to do sometimes what is uncomfortable. Whether that's about releasing something that is comfortable or getting outside of our comfort zone in some way. And just knowing that you will not embody your higher self without a fair degree of challenges, right? If it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And the lunation also squares Chiron. And this is why within the vibe check that essentially comedy was something that you really leaned upon through your darkest days. And that there's a desire to share that for others because so many of your comedians got you through some really, really challenging times. I share this often with Chironians, and I'm going to share this with all of us here, even if your chart doesn't have a strong Chiron signature, which would essentially mean having Chiron making a harsh aspect to one of your personal planets or an angle within your chart. Essentially, if you have a strong Chiron signature, or even the intentions that we could be planting right now, especially with Venus trine Chiron happening on the same day, is observing what got you through the dark times. Or if you're currently in a dark time, what is getting you through? What is the light at the end of the tunnel? What is giving you a sense of hope and faith and trust in the bigger picture? Or what is the knowledge that you are getting from the certain challenges, the physical, mental, emotional battles that you are experiencing? Like oftentimes with Chiron, the story doesn't stop with the wound. And that's what's important to acknowledge, is that that wound does grant wisdom. As painful as it can be, the Chironian path is not an easy one at all. As painful as those experiences can be, there oftentimes can be a desire to want to help others. So within the vibe check, comedy is what got me through so many of my dark days when I couldn't even smile and these people made me laugh. And I do feel a certain responsibility to want to continue that energy onward. Like this has been something that I have so leaned upon within my journey. If I can make one person smile, it'll be worth it to me, because that was something so crucial for getting through that dark time. Just seeing that one person front row made all of that fear that you were experiencing, stepping out on that stage and challenging yourself in new ways, so worth it, right? And healing a part within you that you didn't even still realize was still wounded. And so that could be a story for some. For others of you, it can just be a cosmic nudge that you cannot achieve your way out of healing, okay? The goalposts consistently move, the pressures intensify, and it doesn't make it not worth it, but it's just important to be realistic, okay, with the Capricorn energy, that it's not when you achieve everything in your vision board, ultimate happiness and fulfillment fulfillment and feeling totally at ease with every part of your journey. It's not necessarily waiting there. That's why this new moon speaks to a merging where, yes, tune into the physical wealth you want to call in, okay? The cars, maybe I'll put a new car other than my thousands Honda on the vision board, who knows? The cars, the clothes, what have you, but also equally set intentions around the mental, physical, and emotional health in order to truly enjoy like the success that you've built or the resources you've cultivated or the resources that you are attempting to cultivate. It needs to be a marriage. And that's what the Capricorn New Moon is asking for you. And parts of Chiron energy are also interwoven into Venus in Sagittarius, trining Chiron in Aries. As we've been talking about, Venus in Sagittarius is very free-spirited. It's very adventurous. It's very optimistic. We're deeply craving freedom within our universe and freedom to pursue our own path, our own vision of success. Like I said, this new moon squares the North Node in Aries, right? So it's a reminder of our visions, of our dreams, right? And we talked a lot last week, which by the way, you can check that out there, but we talked about a lot how building your own vision of success sometimes can mean letting people down to a certain degree. Like if you quit a job working for a boss to start your own thing, to a certain degree, that boss would have preferred your path to be working with them throughout the entirety of your journey, but your path was calling you somewhere different. And with Venus in Sagittarius trining Chiron, it just is this cosmic nudge around the freedom and the wealth that comes from being free to pursue something that is meaningful for us. Again, internally, intrinsic, meaningful for us. I see some themes of worthiness coming up. Putting certain things on your vision board or on your goal list that you question, could I possibly be worthy enough to call this into my life, to have this as part of my experience? Because like we were talking about with last week's astrology, with Venus squaring Saturn, there could have felt like there were certain doors that were shut in our face, right? Certain experiences that we did not have access to, certain ways that we did not feel valuable enough or worthy enough to have those experiences. And with Venus trine Chiron, it's healing what within you makes you feel not worthy or not valuable enough, whether that comes up within love, whether that comes up within money, whether that comes up within beauty. With Venus trine Chiron, it's just this energy around having that vision board, writing those goals, and just signaling to yourself, I am worthy. I am worthy of actualizing my desires. I am worthy of achieving the success within my mind's eye. There could be so much within your past or so much within your vulnerabilities or your insecurities. That's Chiron. That's trying to keep you safe, right? Like trying something new equals bad, equals death. Like that's kind of the wounded part of ourselves. So it's been so hurt that we keep ourselves from new experiences because we don't want to get hurt again, right? Like you, before you get on stage at that open mic, you think back to being, bullied at the playground and you just felt ostracized and what have you. And if you let that Chiron part of yourself win, those insecurities that flare up around, my car is not like the other people in this car's lot, I'm so not fitting in here, or I'm not as experienced of a comedian. If you let that wounded part of you win, you won't be able to truly find out what you're made of in this lifetime or to stretch yourself into new exciting dimensions and horizons. And with Venus trine Chiron, it just feels like embracing those parts of yourself. Like that wounded part of you has had to be tough, right? It's had to put you in this space of being kind of defensive, not wanting to be hurt, not wanting those sensitive parts of yourself to be revealed. But so it's trying to keep you safe. But safety does not a happy, actualized life make, right? And with Venus trine Chiron, it's embracing that part of you, those old stories, those old insecurities, but not letting it keep you back from following what it is that you find meaning within or the new adventures that are beckoning to you. And furthermore, kind of like pulling it in. Like I really do think when we can heal something within ourselves now, we also heal the iterations of ourselves that came before us, our inner child, our inner teenager. So you going out on stage and delivering your comedy set is also healing the younger version of you who feared doing just that or never put yourself out there because you didn't want to be seen. So it's acknowledging those old wounds, but not letting them keep you back from adventure, really, with Venus and Sagittarius. And so with Venus and Sagittarius trining Chiron, remember last week how we had Venus square Saturn? That was kind of like a no. There could have been some hardships in love as of late, some hardships in money as of late, some hardships even in beauty as of late, or even value as of late. And this is a soft healing flow of energy where if there's been challenges and obstacles with your partner just because of life stuff, like with Venus square Saturn, work getting in the way, finances getting away, just like challenges and obstacles getting in the way, Venus trine Chiron is a celestial opportunity to really be honest about what you two are moving towards and to pave the way towards healing. I just want to apologize super quick for the sound quality. It'll be fun to watch this back because I swear I sat down and I had the little puffy thing on my microphone that helps with the sound, and then somehow now it's gone. So I don't know where it went. So hopefully the camera footage reveals the truth. And so the moon will be void at 6:33 p.m., closing aspect the conjunction to Pluto. So just to a very essentially mundane level, Thursday's astrology with the Capricorn energy, it can be quite hardworking, productive. We do feel the beginning build of Mars trine Jupiter the next day. So we're really starting to feel more productive. Like that kind of kicks up on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, around finally feeling inspired to handle the task, because nothing can get in between you and something at hand when you are inspired to do it. Like you can just really create magic when you are in flow with whatever it is that you are doing. And it's so magic to be able to seize those opportunities around, I'm feeling randomly super inspired that I want to clean out my closet. I never feel randomly inspired to do that. I should be doing something else, but let me follow this nudge. Like that can be an energy that's coming in on Thursday. So follow the whispers, take aligned intuitive action, and the moon will enter Aquarius at 7:01 p.m., drawing our awareness to our friendship groups, to our essentially connection to something bigger than ourselves, to our inner sense of weirdness. Okay, pleased to report that I have found the little fuzzy thing for my microphone. It was blending in completely with my rug. So my apologies if that affected your listening experience. So let's get into Friday, January 12th. So at 2:42 a.m. is when Mars in Capricorn trines Jupiter in Taurus. And this is that blend of action plus opportunity equals success. Like that is the sort of energy. And again, I don't want you to feel like everything needs to happen overnight. When we set intentions during a new moon, they're not like meant to literally bloom by the next full moon. It's by the next Capricorn full moon, so like in 6 months time. So giving yourself permission that you don't necessarily need to see things happen right away. And with the Benny Blanco example, like I'm sure there was many agents he talked to that were like, get me off the phone, right? But with Mars trine Jupiter, building that positive momentum and at least starting to see some success, like starting to see those little seedlings starting to sprout. When you've been working so hard on something and finally you're starting to get some traction, you're starting to, build a name for yourself at the open mics. And that can be something very motivating because like we talked about last week, sometimes results can be slow, especially when we're talking about Capricorn energy. And we can have to really put some effort and some mastery before we start to see some positive results from it. And that can be so motivating. And you can't give up now. Like you've come too far to give up now, especially if you're starting to see results, you're starting to see synchronicities that are pulling things together, you're starting to see a speeding up. Like I think with Mars trine Jupiter, it's finally feeling energized to take on matters. With Mars trine Jupiter, you can be feeling a little bit more free. If you've been feeling more burnt out or exhausted, I want to say firstly, same, absolutely. But secondly, Mars trine Jupiter should be a return of our energy stores, feeling more courageous, feeling more able to take action, feeling more risky, right? And bold. I think one of the reasons the vibe check came through as a comic stepping out for an open mic is that it is my personal belief that that would be one of the scariest things to do. Truly, I have so much respect for comets. I meant comics, but I respect comets and comics, honestly. But I have so much respect for what comedians do. I really think it's one of the most challenging things that you can do, in my opinion. I cannot imagine how scary that would be if people aren't laughing. I would just want to melt into the floor. Again, it's not a desire that I would personally want to do, but I have a lot of respect for the craft and the art form, especially when you are starting up, because that feels feels really uncomfortable having to get on a stage and having to really like battle for those laughs or to ensure people are having a good time. And I want to take this opportunity to shout out my incredibly funny friend, Olivia. She is a comedian. If she's coming to a city near you, please go see her show. My friend Bridget and I were front row to one of her shows and we were giggling the night away. She is absolutely hilarious. She's a friend of Magic Monday, okay? She's been watching Magic Monday since the beginning, and it's been so inspiring seeing the fruits of her labor begin to build. Like, she's really, I think I'm thinking of her because she's in a Capricorn moon, but she's really been working at this, and she has a lot of talent, but that's also matched with work ethic and mastery and precision, and continually getting better and better, and starting to see her do different shows in different states. It's like so cool to see as, yes, her friend, but also a fan of her comedy around, oh my gosh, girl, you're like doing it. You're doing the thing. And I know it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that we don't see. We see, you know, for comedians, we see their reels, we see their highlights, but I'm sure her journey contained a lot of open mics, and I'm sure it contained a lot of sacrifices that she had to make to continue to work on her craft. But again, when you're starting to see those results, keep going. Remind yourself of the versions of yourself that came prior to you who sacrificed or worked to just even see that sprout of success or those efforts starting to materialize. Keep going. Use this positive momentum to take action towards your goals, to continue to master and refine your craft, whatever that may be. For some of you, I definitely see this would be a great week to start working out. We have a lot of energy in earth signs, and with Mars trine Jupiter, it's feeling capable, competent, and confident enough to take on new challenges. Maybe for you, it's nudging you to, get in the gym or start working out, conquering fear. Working out physically, it's meant to be a little challenging, right? If it doesn't challenge us, it doesn't change us. Like, the weights that we lift are meant to be a little uncomfortable. Again, not overexerting your body, but it's meant to essentially create tears that build new muscle. When you run, at a certain degree, you should be a little out of breath because you are testing to see your endurance. And if there's a yoga class and there's a new posture that you've never tried on, it supports you in being more limber to get within that particular posture. Like, when we work out, we go into those experiences expecting it to be a little hard or challenging. That's how we know we got a good workout, right? That's how we know we're getting better, getting stronger, getting fitter. And that's why I keep highlighting this energy around not backing down from things just because they are hard. Because again, your higher self did not get to where it is that they are and what it is that they embody taking the easy route. And every time, we hit the gym and we work that muscle, again, it could show up within physical fitness, it could work that muscle of practicing your comedy, it could be that muscle of exercising restraint with, a family member who you have disagreements with. It could be working that muscle around building your own business while you're maintaining your 9-to-5. When you work that muscle, yes, it will challenge you, but the next time you go into it, it gets a little easier because you're a little stronger, right? You push yourself a little bit more, you get even stronger, and you start to see the results come in as a result of your hard work. And when you start to see muscle definition, some orders come in your business, changes within the family member, laughs at your open mic, that gives you that positive boost to keep going. You can make this happen. Who knows what else you could make happen as you continue to show up and work that muscle. And talking about physical fitness, I just want to highlight something super quickly, in that with the Sun and Mars and Capricorn, Mercury enters tomorrow. With a lot of the cosmos in earth signs, I just want to share that a great way of chiseling that connection to your higher self, because you might be listening, you're like, Haley, Comet, I don't feel my higher self. I don't know how to connect with them. A strong way that works for me, and again, it could just be my earth moon, to figure out when something is for me and when it is not for me, it comes through very physically. Because I have strong mind-body connection, I really enjoy moving my body. I know my body very well. I really honor its cues around, like, if my stomach tightens, it's typically a no. Yesterday, when I got that call of that opportunity to work an event in a couple of hours, there was something within me that just like swelled. A lot of times it feels like a heart swell where I'm just like, yeah. And that's what's been helpful for me to tune into the signs and synchronicities. Because sometimes when you're overly in your head around, I could go to the event, but then I have to do all this, or I could stay home. Like, what would be the wisest thing? You have these other projects that you have to get done. Like, sometimes you have to consult your body. And to me personally, the more I continue to chisel my physical vessel with regular movement, with stretching, with honoring its needs, the more that wisdom comes through for me. So I just want to share that just in case anybody is looking to to develop that muscle of connecting and trusting your higher self to guide your actions. So other than that, which is really giving this boost of positive can-do energy that you can direct at just about anything, business goals, fitness goals, anything of that nature. It's not saying that the path is going to be easy, but it's giving you the motivation to start, or the starts of the seedlings, or the results of the efforts that you've invested thus far. The moon will be in Aquarius throughout the entirety of the day, which is drawing an awareness to essentially our friendships, to the groups that we are connected with, to the internet. Honestly, the only downside of the Jupiter energy that's alive within your Fridays, there can be an energy around, I have time to get it done, whether it's like taking on too much because you're like, I can do all that, I can get that done by 4 p.m. Or even energy around procrastinating, like I can do that on Monday, right? Like it's important to work that muscle around being pragmatic with what is on your plate and how it is that you can execute your energy the most strategically in order to get the results that you want. Sometimes with Moon square Jupiter, we could be feeling things intensely, feeling our emotions more intensely, whether that's positive or negative. And with the energy of Aquarius Moon, sextile Chiron and sextiling Venus, it's just this energy around embracing our weirdness. Like your path to success will be integrated with your own weirdness, with your own eccentricity. And that could be healing. Like to me, I think because the moon's in Aquarius, this is coming up. Like to me, I just always think about how I just used to feel very, very weird and eccentric for being into astrology, and just with its, explosion really is what it feels like, of popularity. Like that's healing for the younger versions of myself who felt weird, who wanted to keep this a secret and things of that nature. Like building a life in which your weirdness is celebrated can be something healing, especially if it's something you've been trying to keep under wraps or not wanting other people to see it. It can be truly freeing with the Aquarius Moon sextile Venus and Sagittarius. So great day to do something fun, particularly as it relates to groups of individuals, getting people together in some way. Again, this could be diving into a community online of some sort. With the sextile to Venus and Sagittarius, this could be trying a new restaurant, having some new indulgences, something of that nature. And also I want to highlight with Friday's astrology, Mercury for most of the day is sitting at the anaretic degree as it does enter Capricorn the following day, which can make us extra chatty, having a lot to say, and even with Mercury and Sagittarius being a little too blunt. Right? Being a little too direct, being a little too forward. Like with all this Aquarius Moon energy and the procrastinating energy that the square to Jupiter can create, spending time in the workplace cafeteria and telling your coworker your honest feedback that you think to her dating saga. Again, honesty is the best policy, but always important to exercise that extra beat of restraint before you blurt something out that you're like, ooh, can I take that back? So on Saturday, January 13th, I firstly want to let you know that Mercury re-enters Capricorn. So the re-enters Capricorn. Again, it's still retracing its steps. It will not clear the shadow until the 20th. So I don't want you to feel, as I'm telling you that there's all this positive momentum, I don't want you to feel like this is the week that you have to launch all the things and put everything out there. Like when Mercury finally is entering some new territory, you can also feel there's some clearance within your world towards entering new territory of your own. So it's no pressure, but it is saying, notice what you're feeling a nudge to do and follow the nudge. But with Mercury re-entering Capricorn, there can be a more pragmatic viewpoint that we are looking out on the world, at the world through, which is why in the vibe check, it's taking the constructive criticism, right? It's taking where it is that we can show up better. When you start to see a seedling from your efforts, it's not enough to just be like, okay, work's done, right? I got some claps, I got a laugh, I'm the best comedian ever, and we start touring the world. No, it's continuing to chisel how it is that you can grow. And sometimes sure is that a little bit of ouch around, ooh, ouch, you didn't think that went well, or like, ooh, ouch, you thought that could have been delivered more. But so long as you are learning, you are growing. And so long as you are growing, you are getting closer to your higher self. So taking the feedback, again, it could come from within around, I've really got to clean this up within my life. I've really got to improve on this. It's not hating yourself to the top, right? You can't hate yourself to the top. You can't hate yourself to your higher self. It's an act of love, showing and revealing ways that you can grow or ways that you can improve. But you can definitely expect with Mercury and Capricorn, your mental space can be a little bit more harsh on yourself, and you can notice other people are a little bit more harsh with you And so outside of Mercury shifting signs, I do want to let you know that you could wake up feeling a little restless, or you could have even had a hard time falling asleep as the moon squares Uranus. That happens a little before 2 a.m., at which point the moon is void all day. So again, there could be restlessness, and then after that square to Uranus, it's an all-day void moon. So great day to do something fun, something weird. With the square to Uranus, don't put too much pressure on yourself, okay? With Mercury entering Capricorn, you can be a little bit harder on yourself. But again, listen to the whispers where you're feeling guided. When the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid. So be intentional around not adding too much to your schedule, and be intentional around listening to your body's cues. If you're craving rest, time in nature, what have you. The moon will enter Pisces, ultimately ending the void at 7:29 p.m. And with the Pisces moon sextiling Mercury and Capricorn shortly after it enters, there can be dreamy yet practical ideas, like having a vision and feeling inclined around wanting to make it happen, having an idea for a poem and writing it, having a vision of something that you'd like to call in for the next year and putting it on the vision board. Aligned action. What I want to say about Saturday, it's not necessarily that you need to take aligned action in terms of physically doing the things, but even when you take an idea or a flash and write it down, that is taking aligned action, okay? You can say, no, I'll remember this genius idea. I'll remember this genius song lyric. I'll remember this good idea for a bit. You won't, especially when the moon's in Pisces. We are all over the place, okay? So do yourself a favor, write it down. Write down what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to do, something that you want to get done, something of the nature. And it can also be an opportunity Saturday night to have conversations that are firm, certainly with Mercury and Capricorn, but also compassionate, like compassionately stating your boundaries or compassionately being able to express a point or an idea. And like I've been telling you all since the Saturn and Pisces transit, your compassion must have boundaries, and you can live compassionately and with lots of love in your heart and love for humanity and still have acknowledgments around the physical limitations that you have around your time, your physical energy, your resources, or what have you. That just feels like a certain opportunity that evening that's aligning. On Sunday, January 14th, I want to firstly let you know that the moon will align with Saturn at around 3 a.m., which can absolutely give this feeling of not wanting to deal with reality, but like needing to deal with reality. Like there could be certain matters that are making you get out of bed even though you really don't want to. There could just be a heaviness on your chest, maybe like early Sunday scaries, just like, I don't want to, I'm feeling so drained, I want to be within my own world. Perhaps feeling more inclined to like luxuriate or lie in the bed and not want to take on the day. Thank you so much, by the way. Last week I had inquired to see if you guys had any tips on how to get out of bed, and you all shared quite a bit of wisdom. Thank you so much. So check the comments if you also have a hard time getting out of bed, because there were a couple of things that I'm taking with me and have actually helped. One of them was DM'd, so I'm just going to share it here. Someone DM'd me and said, you know, lately how I've been getting out of bed is I start playing the Barbie intro song, like when I wake up in my own pink world, and she pretends like her life is a movie montage, like she's in Barbie, and she's just like getting up, going through her morning routine. When I say that really works. Like when you start to play it and just pretend like, you know, this is the beginning of my movie montage and I have to put on a good show, a good waking up show. Like we wouldn't start the Barbie movie with me just like lying in bed, Grandpa Joeing on my phone and drinking coffee. No, you got to get up. You need your montage, you need your waffles, you need your shower, what have you. So that honestly was helpful to me. Thank you so much to the individual who DM'd me that, as well as all of the other comments. There were a lot of really lovely gems of feedback. So I appreciate you all. On Sunday, pretend you're in the Barbie movie, okay? When you open your eyes, when I wake up, and start the montage, okay? Pretend you're in a movie and give them a good show, okay? And I say that because the Pisces moon will sextile Mars in Capricorn, which is about aligned action, taking on your day, maybe even working out, and then the Pisces moon will sextile Jupiter in Taurus. So there's magic awaiting you. I loved that comment around, there's something wonderful happening to me today. Let me get up so I can go find it. I love that so much. That's another affirmation that you can repeat as you're getting out of bed. Because again, moon on Saturn might be like, oh, I have to do all of these things. I have all these responsibilities. But the whisper from the Pisces moon to Mars and Jupiter reminds you, like, I get to have these opportunities, right? Like if you're ever in a space where you're just like dreading your work, like, oh, I just do not want to do this project. Like you get to do this project. If you don't want to, you know, feed your cat, you get to feed your cat. You have this beautiful animal that you are taking care of. If you don't want to do this home improvement project, like you get to do this home improvement project. Like even just small shifts in our verbiage like that can really impact how it is that we approach those activities, rather than just like, this is the worst, through this lens around, I'm just in my movie montage, feeding my cat, showering my body. I'm lucky enough to have this human body. I get to shower it and care for it and show it love. So just a small shift in terms of your verbiage that could be supportive. And my loves, that is our week. My goodness, it has been such an adventure getting this all filmed for you all. Again, I'm not the same gal that I was when I started this Magic Monday. But again, when the phone rings, you gotta answer. When your higher self calls, you gotta answer. When aligned action beckons, you gotta take it. So our Magic Monday mantra of the week is, I am worthy of my wildest dreams. I really want you to feel into that, because like I said, with Chiron energy, sometimes there can be certain nudges within us around, could I possibly level up my life so much to have these things, especially when I've lived a journey where those things were denied to me at many different portions of it. Again, worthiness comes up. Who am I to think I could do that, right? Who am I to think I could accomplish that? Who are you not to? That's the question. You are worthy of all of those desires that live within your heart, within your mind, within your spirit. And this is the week to plant the seeds to make them a reality. So if you made it to the end of the video, go ahead and drop the goat emoji below to give a shout out to Capricorn season, the Capricorn New Moon. Technically, they are the sea goats, but I always like to think of Capricorn energy as mountain goats, because it really is this energy around ascending to the peak of what it is that we are capable of. And if you've seen mountain goats, you know they scale the top of the mountain in the craziest ways, right? They get to the top. And the ask of this week is to firstly know that you're worthy enough to start on that journey. You will find novel pathways in order to get to the top. There'll be unique pathways. That's the reminder with Sun trine Uranus. So use the word goat within a sentence. That's going to be a challenge. I'm trying to make them a little harder on you guys. So use the word goat within a sentence, or drop the goat emoji to let me know that you watched until the end. My Instagram handle is @HaleyComet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. And until we meet again, drink lots of water.